Hello and welcome to Webisode Wednesday. I'm Jeff Phillips and I am here with Wini Curley. She is from Treat Yourself Well. I'm very excited to share with you what she has to say today. And Wini, can you just say a little bit talk about what it is that you do actually?
Right. Well, Jeff, I'm a speaker, and I'm also an author and what I call a change master. So I help people learn to deal with the changes in their lives, things that they want to have happen, detox their mindset, get rid of some of their limiting beliefs so that they can move forward.
Okay. Well, with the holidays right around the corner, there's a lot of stress going on with in-laws coming in town, cooking big dinners, presents, tree wrap, putting the decorations on the tree and whatnot. How would you help a client who's dealing with stress, maybe from this situation or just maybe even a work situation? How would you help them deal with that?
Well, you're right. There's a lot of stress during the holidays. Seems to be kind of extra loaded because of all those other expectations that we have about what it's going to be like over the holidays when somebody comes to visit. One of the things that I find that really has a particular application at this time, but it's not only then, is a balance between giving and receiving. So many people get really stressed because they're working so hard at buying presents and worrying about the food and getting everything that they need to give done. But it's important for them to be able to learn to actually receive. So you know how it is when you give somebody a present, and most of us have had this experience, and you give it to them and they kind of go, I'm not sure. Oh, no.
You shouldn't have.
Yeah, whatever. And so it kind of feels icky. Yeah. It doesn't feel good. And that's because the balance between giving and receiving has been interrupted, because I believe it's two halves of one whole. It's not two separate things. It's like breathing. You can't just breathe in and you can't just breathe out. You have to have that cycle. So I try and remind people to be open to receiving what's offered them as well as giving, because the best gift that you have to give somebody is to receive what they've genuinely offered you. Right. As a gift. And that's assuming, of course, there's not all these conditions and other stuff that can get tied to things like that. But just receive what's being offered you. Even if it's a moment of peace, somebody's late, just take it as a gift.
Right. Awesome. That's fantastic advice. Yeah. Now, speaking of gifts, I understand that you have a gift. Yeah. And can you just explain a little bit more about that and where you get the information from?
Well, a lot of the information I get from my clients comes intuitively through angels, guides, messengers, something about you as an individual that needs some support, some healing. I have actually had loved ones who have passed come and give messages to people who are really in pain about that. And that definitely is a gift. It's always a healing experience. I've never had it be a negative experience when I've been doing that work. But this particular topic about giving and receiving was really something I learned and worked on for myself. That was, we teach what we need to learn, and I needed to learn that. My mom was very difficult when I was a young child about receiving gifts. Didn't matter what I got her, what my dad got her. She took it back. She didn't like it. It wasn't right. And I took that to mean that I wasn't good enough, that I couldn't please her, which was true. But the real issue was she couldn't receive what was offered her openly. Her self-esteem was at a point where that just wasn't possible for her. So for me to learn that, and when I figured it out and started as an adult to give her presents that were what you might call cheap and tacky, that was what she was comfortable with, because that was what she could tolerate and receive. And as soon as I let that be good enough from my perspective to give her, then she could receive it, and then that whole dynamic changed. It began to be the cycle of breathing in and breathing out and receiving, and then as I changed myself and my belief about it, then she could loosen her belief and rigidity too. So I couldn't change her, I could only change me.
Wow, neat. Now, another topic of discussion that I know we could probably go into a very long time about is the topic of forgiveness. Now, and one example I just want to share with you is, I have a family member who, I would say an ex-family member, who I consider an evil person, for various things that they've done.
We can have those experiences, yes.
There's another family member of mine that still has issues with this person, even though they haven't been in their life for probably 14 years. I've learned to forgive this person. What advice could you give my family member to help them maybe work through this issue?
Well, let me ask you a little question. So when you said you'd work through the process to forgive them, why did you make that effort?
Because I realized I was spending so much negative energy, or putting so much negative energy into the thought of them.
Mm-hmm. Even though they weren't around you all that much.
Right. Yeah.
It was still kind of just like sucking your joy, right? Sucking your joy away and making you feel heavy and uncomfortable.
Exactly.
And so that's the key. Forgiveness is really about reclaiming your own peace of mind and your own heart and your own energy back for yourself. When you forgive somebody when they've been, maybe inexcusable, it's really not for them. It's for you to be able to be released from that dynamic, which is so uncomfortable and so difficult and so painful. And just because you forgive, it doesn't mean you forget. It doesn't mean you kind of all of a sudden can't remember all the negative things that happen, but you don't dwell on them and they don't continue to hurt you as you keep thinking about them. When you forgive, you release them and you release yourself first. It's like a tug of war. If we're having a tug of war on a rope, if I let go of the rope, there's no more tug of war, even if you're holding on and yanking on it. If I don't continue to engage in that energy, it stops. And so forgiving is really giving yourself a piece of mind and part of yourself back. And I think that is hugely important. And a lot of clients come and we do work like that, where we release some of the negative bonds, the kind of these energy threads that you get stuck with that creates this mental and emotional dynamic. And we release those bands of energy from the person that's negative and work on making that not a wound but healing, so that you can be whole and complete even in their presence. That's when you know you've really done it, is when you can be in their presence and not have all that stuff just dominate what happens.
Well, very good. Good advice. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if you would like more information on what it is Wini does and what she can help you with or help a loved one with, how could they reach you?
Well, you can always email me, and that is Wini, W-I-N-I, at treatyouwell, T-R-E-A-T, and just the letter U, well.com. And I have a free gift, a little article they can read if they want to find out more. I have it at free, it's http free.gifts, with an S, gifts from Wini, W-I-N-I.com. And it's an article called 7 Ways to Kickstart Your Stalled Goals. And what it really is stories about clients who have really changed how their life was going in the ways that they wanted to, and the 7 habits and different practices that they worked on with me that helped them get there.
Great.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
It's been fun.